Good morning and welcome to News Extra. And our guests this morning are Tracy Meyer, who's the chief flight nurse for AirLink here in Scottsbluff, as well as Randy Meininger, who's the Regional West EMS manager. Thank you very much for joining us both today.
Welcome. Good morning.
Tracy, let's talk a little bit first. We're kind of talking about the transport services that are available from Regional West, and of course, getting to the hospital, getting to another facility out of that hospital, very important. Talk a little bit about AirLink. The services provided through there have really seemed to grown quite a bit over the course of time.
Sure. The AirLink helicopter service has been here since 1995, and just this year in 2018, we added a PC-12 airplane. So to our fleet, we have both the helicopter and the airplane to complement the services for air medical transport.
And when it comes to the type of services available on those transports, you're going to find the same care no matter whether you're in the helicopter or in the plane, basically, correct? Same type of equipment.
Absolutely. We've got a crew that's cross-trained to fly both in the airplane and the helicopter, and the equipment as far as ventilators, monitors, pumps, that's all identical between both the modes for ease of transport and just keeping the crew sharp on both of those types of equipment.
And when it comes to making the decision whether to use the fixed wing versus the rotor wing aircraft, what are some of the things that are a decision made on which one to use?
You bet. Some of that has to do with distance. The helicopter roughly covers about 150-mile radius, so it's not uncommon for us to go as far east as North Platte or Kearney. If it's further east than that, we're usually going to take the airplane. So obviously distance is one. Time savings, to go to Medical Center of the Rockies in Loveland or to Denver, it's quicker to go rooftop to rooftop on the helicopter.
Sure.
But once you get much outside of that distance, much more than about an hour 15 flight, it makes more sense to take the airplane. Obviously, we can't land rooftop to rooftop, and we need an airport on each end. But that's one of the factors that makes our decision. Another one is
weather. I would understand too.
Weather is huge. We're a visual flight rules program on the helicopter side, and obviously the airplane can take some of those flights where we run into more inclement weather. So the sender or the calling facility never has to make that decision. That just comes into our transfer center, and they take all those factors into consideration and dispatch the most appropriate mode. And
that fixed wing aircraft, as I understand it, has had quite a bit of usage since it got pressed into service.
We've been into service with the PC-12 since November 1st, and we're pretty busy most days, so it's definitely something that was needed in this area.
And talk a little bit about what it's like being with patients on one versus the other.
Okay. In the helicopter, the space is a little bit more cramped. We've got more room on the PC-12 on the airplane. You can stretch out a little bit more. You're not quite as cramped. And we can also accommodate larger patients as well as bring a family member with us if that's appropriate.
Okay. Well, Randy, we're going to talk a little bit more about EMS when we come back after this break.
You bet.
And welcome back to News Extra this morning, and our guests are Tracy Meyer, who's the Chief Flight Nurse and Paramedic for AirLink, as well as Randy Meininger, who is Regional West's Emergency Management Services Manager. So you oversee all of emergency management services for Regional West.
Yes.
Especially ground transportation.
Correct.
Explain that obviously there's a difference between air transportation from a accident scenes perhaps versus ground transportation. When is that decision kind of made?
Oh, sure. Well, actually, it's a continuum, and it's a partnership, and that's one thing that really makes Regional West Medical Center stand out from any other systems, is that they take the holistic approach of communications, ground ambulance, helicopter, fixed wing, and putting that together to make the best outcome for the patients. So, you're going to get that 911 call, and they're going to dispatch your local fire department. That's going to get your extrication, your fire protection. And we work very closely with them. Then you're going to get your advanced life support, which is going to come from us, your paramedics. We have a lot of veteran paramedics. Of course, you're always wanting to train new ones as they're coming up, and we're interested always in helping with that. And then, they're going to make that decision based on patient criteria and our medical director to bring in the helicopter to make sure that the patient gets to the appropriate facility. And, of course, with Regional West being a Level 2 trauma center, that's where we're wanting those trauma patients so that they can have the best outcomes.
And of course, it's not just for emergencies. Ground transportation for non-emergency medical situations is also important as well.
Oh, that's so correct. Sometimes we get so focused on the emergency side of it, and that's really important. But there's that patient, as they come out of the trauma system or stroke or whatever, they're having rehab, and sometimes they need to get to a skilled nursing facility, or sometimes they just don't have the ability to even get back home. And so we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those patients. So we provide a regional approach to meet the individual needs of the customers so that we can assist them with their family. Something like right now, it may be helping those families that can't get that, they can't walk, and trying to get them to their house for Christmas.
And of course, when it comes to even hospital transfers, it's not always going to be a case where an air flight is going to be appropriate. It may be times when ground transportation actually might be appropriate for a transfer, correct? Oh,
very, very true. In fact, Tracy and I work very closely together to make sure that we have the right mode of transport for the right patient at the right time. So many times, we're transporting patients to either a higher level of care or to a facility to meet those needs, a rehab facility that's further away. So, like this year, we'll probably run over 350,000 miles with ambulances in moving patients, and, probably in the neighborhood of 7,000 calls.
And again, I'm assuming that the equipment is almost pretty standard across the spectrum from those aircraft for AirLink. Maybe a little bit different with the ground transportation, or is it very much the same?
We're going to be very compatible, because one of the things with our medical directors is make sure that it doesn't matter whether it's a nurse or a medic off the helicopter or the ground ambulance, that we know the equipment and can take care of the patient's needs. So equipment is very, very compatible.
And how are we doing on paramedics? Are we still seeing the need out there for more people to come into the field?
There's always a need. We need to make sure that we're continuing for the future. So we're always looking for those individuals that are strong, that are looking for a career in medicine, and they come and work on the ground unit for about 3 years, and then we start working with Tracy and working with those and which ones have the desire and meet the requirements to go into the air side of it.
Yeah, so quite the continuum of transportation if you need it, either in an emergent or non-emergent situation. Looks like Regional West has everything covered.
We do, and it's again, it's a system. It's a system approach to meet the needs of the customers.
All right, thank you very much for joining us this morning on News Extra.
Thanks, John.